Welcome back to Allison Customs Project Car TV. Today I got a little project on the rock crawler Jeep that's been sitting here for a very long time. And that's, I don't know if you can see my butchery here, but when I installed the fuel injection system, I didn't have any way to hook up the factory throttle cable to the linkage here on the throttle body. So I just got it close, put a screw in there. I was able to test it using the gas pedal and take it out for a little bit of a test drive. The issue here is that's not particularly safe. So I'm going to take this out. There we go. And what I want to do is I'm going to hack that aluminum clamp off there and try and use the length of the cable. And I'm going to try and get into one of these other holes. It'd probably be better if I could get to that top one for leverage. Either one, I think either one would work. That one would be a little straighter shot than the upper. But my thinking is I'm going to make a pin of some sort that goes in there and will pivot and has a hole through it that this cable can run through, and then has a screw that can jam the cable tight. So you know, it's got loads of return on it, loads of return spring, plus the gas pedal actually has a little spring on the bottom of it, I believe, too. So anyway, that's kind of my project here. I think I'm going to pick this one. It's got a little bit bigger hole, which will give me a little more meat for the adapter I want to make. We're going to go in, get on the lathe, and make a part. And I'll take you in there. Okay, so since every good idea starts with a bad drawing, that's what we've got here. What I came up with was the throttle linkage bracket that we're going through. The hole I picked is, that area is 0.218 inches thick, and the diameter of the hole is 0.253. What I'm looking to make is something essentially round with a stick out on it that will go through that 253 hole, so we'll make that 250. And then I've got a through hole through the diameter of the stock that the cable will run through, and then the screw will bottom out into to lock that in place. And then additionally another through hole through this stick out part that a cotter pin will lock into. And the length of that needs to be the 218 thickness, plus a washer, plus room for the hole and like a cotter pin and a little, and the other side of the hole. So I'm going to get a washer and a cotter pin and measure those, and then we'll come back and get the length of that stem. So after a little more math, what I've come up with is the cotter pin I was going to use is 0.045 in diameter. The washer is 0.040 thick. If I add those to the thickness of the bracket, I come up with 0.303. My smallest drill size, though, is a 1/16 of an inch, so I need to add 0.020 for the cotter pin drill size. That gets me to 323. We need there to be a little slop in it, so we're going to end up rounding that number up. We also need to add about 1/8 of an inch for meat on the outside, so that's 125. That gets us to 458 on the minimum side. And what I think I'm going to run for is probably closer to 480, with all but 1/8 of an inch of that between the outside edge of the hole and the shoulder. The diameter of the pin again needs to be 253. This can be just any arbitrary length. I picked 400, and because it's 400, I also picked 400 for a diameter. We're going to start with some 3/4 inch stock. The hole for the cable needs to be 0.0781, which is like 5/32 or something, one size up from a 1/16. And then we're going to do a number 10 tapped hole through that channel. So that's the drawing, that's the plan. And like I said, I've got some 3/4 inch aluminum stock here. So we'll get that chucked up. Probably go ahead and get the shoulder. I think what we'll do is get that chucked up and get this diameter turned down. So then once we have this down to diameter and this hole drilled and tapped, we can part it off at the correct length and then flip it around, rechuck it on this, and turn down this diameter and get it ready for the through-hole drill. I'll get it started, and let's see. So first off, we need to face this off. That stuff should be dry by now. That faced off in our measurement at 880. This little line there. That's our total length. And then we want another one at 440. Or I'm sorry, 400. So there's 400. Here are the two lengths we're going to be working with. And you can change this tooling out again. I'm going to remind you guys, I'm no machinist. So if there are machinists out there watching this, I'm sorry for disparaging your chosen profession. So I started in the middle there thinking I was just going to cut on that line, but then I realized that I can go ahead and turn the whole thing down to 3/8 instead of turning down one side and then turning down the other side to the same diameter. So. Idea where we're at, 5:15. These are just basically what I believe are called spring cuts, meaning I haven't added any more depth to my tip. And just kind of cleaning things up. I wanted to get an accurate measurement of how much I'm taking off. So we're down to 450, 459, 460, somewhere right there. So I think one more cut. We're down to 420. So I'm going to take off just Alright, I'm at 406. I'm just going to let this spring cut back. See if that doesn't clean it up enough to be. And obviously that was just an arbitrary number. I just picked that because it sounded good. It doesn't need to be real big and bulky on there, so. Smooth that. I think we're going to be on 398. Perfect. Close enough. So let's clean that edge up. edge a little bit, make it pretty later. And now we want to drill the end here. Let's gotta take our drill chuck and put it in the tailstock. Okay, we've got our tailstock configured. Get the hole started. Like I said, I only have a, well, this one's going to be a number 10. I'll go ahead and get that in there pretty good. Pull that out. I want to do this in 1432, or sorry, 1032. That calls for a number 21 drill size, or a 5/32, depending on contact percentage for your thread. So I'd probably actually use a 5/32. This drill bit is actually number 25, and it's for a 1024. I'm going to go ahead and start the hole with this drill, and then see if I've actually got a 10/32. Excuse me, a 1032 screw. If I do, then I'll come back and re-drill this with the proper size. I just don't want to get it drilled and then can't finish the project here. Now, I don't have a DRO, but what we're going to do is just measure the distance here. It's currently sticking out 249, so I'm going to zero that out. So we're going to be coming in, we've got the first 400 or 4/10 of an inch. That's going to be the part where the cable travels through. This end has the screw stop. So I think what we'll do is we'll drill in 210. Then when the cable hole is in there, the screw could go all the way through the cable hole if for whatever reason you ever needed it to. But that'll trap the cable in that pocket when we're done drilling. So we're going to go in 210 right there. So when that fills that gap, we're there. So I'm just going to drill in until we get there. Right there, looks like that's about where it was. And again, this doesn't have to be super precise. This is just, you know, trying to do something by a design that you've come up with. Okay, guys. So I don't know what I was worried about. I have so many sizes of 530 or 1032 thread. I had them. Everything from the short one that I got here, button head, to 1.25 inches long. So anyway, we're gonna basically start this process over again. And this is a 5/32 drill bit, which should give us, it's just under 80% thread penetration. All right, let's drill this out. That's that. We can get a 1032 tap. And I don't have a tap follower, so we're just going to put that in there fairly loosely. A little bit of tap goop on it. See if we can't go ahead and turn this. That looks like about all we're going to get. Loosen that. Pull this back out of the way. Let's get a tap handle and we'll finish running that in. Problem is, I don't have a bottoming tap for 1032. The first thread, so I'm only getting a couple threads in there before I'm running out of tap. Let me see if I got any more taps. I had another tap that has a little less of a starter point on it, so maybe that will let us get in there deep enough. Yeah, it's cutting threads already. And really what I did was just grind off the tip and then leave a little bit of a chamfer on the edges there so it would start. It's not obviously not as pointed as the other one. It's not a true bottoming tap because it's not cutting quite the same, but it gave me an extra 1/10, maybe even 2/10 depth. Yeah, now that's more than enough. The screw goes in and bottoms out. It's way more than we're ever going to need, so I feel better about that. Once again, we wanted 400. So this line is the 400, and then the rest of that's supposed to be the shoulder, the 440 for the shoulder, and then we can part it off right at the end there. So let's get a parting off tool. What I'm doing is making the knife edge parallel to the chuck face. And at least for our project, that will be good enough. And I probably should have cut that shoulder back another 1/8 of an inch or so, but we'll just come down through there and part it off a little longer. There we go. We need to be able to work all the way up to that shoulder, or make the shoulder. That way as I cut in on that, I'm cutting that shoulder at basically the same time. And now this needs to go down to 250. And I don't want to get too aggressive with our cuts, so I'm just going to keep checking. Basically 300. .2505, or just a hair over. And how long are we? Maybe we're 482, 481. I think we're there. So I'm gonna hit this again with the file just to clean it up a little more. We're gonna call that one done. Now we need to drill through here and then through the other one. I'm thinking the best way to do that is we're gonna chuck this up in some kind of fixture on the table. Chuck that up in some kind of fixture on here, and then we'll use the mill to drill those two holes. So what we've got is just a brace here, and I've got something slightly smaller in width than the diameter of the piece we're making, and so that lets me sit it on there, and I can put my starter drill in there. Okay, now the cable that goes through that hole, I went out and measured it just to be sure, and I was planning a 781 hole, and that will work. The cable's 052, so 0.0781 is a 5/64 drill. So we're gonna go ahead and get this one drilled to the 5/64. So then we wanted that hole, we want to be in 125 thousandths from the edge. You guys haven't been able to see any of this. Alright guys, well I apologize. I didn't even look up to realize the camera wasn't pointed where I was drilling. So I've already drilled the hole through the larger diameter portion. Alright, so what we're going to do is do a starter hole. So this hole needs to be sized for the cotter pin, which is an 0.45, and the smallest I have is 1/16 of an inch, which is 0.625. So let's see how that looks in there. And we can start this. And before we move that, we'll check it with the cotter pin. There we go, nice fit. It's not too snug, goes right in. I'm just going to run a file over that just to clean off the glue mostly. It's pretty smooth, not perfect, but hey, what do you want from an amateur? Alright, so it'll go through the throttle linkage. Oh, we've got to open the hole up in this. I forgot about that. So we're going to make our washer. I didn't have any washers that were exactly the right diameter. So we got to drill this washer out. Okay, let me just say, I know the correct way to do this is with the tailstock drill, but I've already put that drill chuck in the mill, and I only have one, so I'm just going to cheat. I'm only drilling one washer, and we're done already. So now what we've got is the throttle linkage will be between the shoulder and this washer, and then once all of that is in place, drop this cotter pin in. That'll lock that to and still let it swivel. The throttle cable is going to go through there. That screw in there, we'll Loctite that in once we're got it set for the correct size. Okay, so I got it installed on the cable. Just need to pull the cable snug. And tighten the screw down. Then we're going to put our washer on. Maybe I'm going to put the washer on. There we go. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I'm sure that wasn't a terribly exciting thing, but it's it's just something. Sometimes you just make what you need, and I'm sure there'll be 10 or 20 people who comment and tell me I could have found one of those on Amazon or eBay or somewhere for $5 or $10. When I looked around, you had to buy a whole kit, and they kind of ran $20 to $30. So to me, it just wasn't worth $30 or $20 to make one of those, plus the time it'd have to wait, because it's all coming from China, and nothing right now is coming from China except for the coronavirus. Anyway, y'all, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great day.